All right, quite a few people asked me to do a thing on Kanye West since he was ranting about the Jews or some damn shit. Like, we did a class on Kanye a year or so ago and just went, this guy seems pretty nuts, and I'm sure he's going to do a lot more fucked up shit to knock himself down over the years, which of course is what he's going to do. And so Kanye West, like, symbolizes what I see everybody, myself included, doing to the extreme. He's just an extreme version of what we're all doing. This self-sabotage, super subjectivism, shoving your way on everybody else. He's just such an ass that he's just aggressively doing it, and then has the skills. He's a very smart, skilled, talented guy, obviously, to then pull it off, which is kind of not a good thing. Because if you're crazy, if you're nuts, if you're subjective, if you're a fucking psycho, hopefully you're also an idiot and you can't put two sticks together to make anything work, so you're not bothering the rest of us, right? So with Kanye, it's not his type, even though we definitely see crazy run on this type. I'll say that. Not to not pick on this type. I will pick on this type. Being a cousin of mine, they are definitely where Nutsoid definitely clusters. My type, probably just as much, or probably honestly a little bit more. So this type is not a stable type. Let's just say that, right? So it's like if you're an ENFP male audio, chances are you're going to have red hair. Like over 75% chance if you're a white male, you're going to have red hair if you're an ENFP. Kind of weird, right? So if you're this type, chances are you're fucking nuts in your friend group. You're the eccentric one, you're extroverted, you're nuts, everybody thinks you're a little weird, you're crazy, your brain goes a million miles an hour. Like, calmness and zen and peacefulness doesn't ride in this type as much where it does in other types, you know? You're doped up on you're a child, you're a complainer, you have unprocessed trauma, you're subjective fucking to hell, and then it's like, okay, so what deck of cards are you gonna fucking hit me with? Oh shit, this is a very powerful deck of cards. You got masculine NI, god damn it. You have TE, savior, double activated, god, SE and your FI, ah shit, and you're cranked all the way up. This is going to be a fucking shitstorm when this type goes bad. And the sides I'm talking about is really just subjective and objective, right? And it's like, that's the name of our website for that reason. It's the name of our website, Objective Personality, is like, it's a little hidden gem. It's an Easter egg. It's going, once you figure out your fucking stupid dumbass type and you realize, oh my god, I'm this psycho disorder. So you're showing off your disorder. You look like a fucking clown. Here's my type. It's like, here's my disorder. You're like, idiot, shh, quiet about that, right? And then you realize, oh god, if I'm really this bad and everybody else of my type is also that bad, that's definitely, that speeds up the shocking. If you can watch 10 other people of your exact same type, that will fuck with your brain. You're like, oh god, that'll give you 20 years of race ahead of, oh shit, this is way worse than I thought, right? Stuff you're gonna figure out by the time you're 50 or 60, that all your life problems that are reoccurring are actually coming from you. Spoiler alert, you'll figure that out later. You can watch the end of the movie by watching people of your same type, really soaking that in, which most people don't. They go, show me somebody of my type. Hey, cool. Bounce away. Why is that? Anyways, when you get to all the bottom of hell, you realize, okay, the problem isn't my type, dumbass. The problem isn't my type. The problem isn't my parents. The problem isn't the economy. All this surface level shit, just layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of surface level shit that takes most people decades to never fucking get to the bottom of. If you do get down to the bottom of it, you really realize the core equation is, I'm just a subjective ass. I just do what I want, when I want, how I want, where I want, what makes sense to me. I'm in a bad mood, I feel weak today, so I'm going to do nothing. I'm in a good mood, I'm going to do a bunch of stuff. Like, you're just a subjective ass. You have all this objectivity of, let's just say, 8 functions that need to be taken care of to have balance, and you're just overdoing 2 of them and then fucking off 2 more and aren't even aware of the other 4. So yeah, that catches up with you. And then you see the hero's journey of people that are kind of like, okay, I'm putting just enough on these other 8 so my life doesn't collapse. And you realize, well, how the hell would I do that? If I got a deck of cards, if I got a fucking shit for brains, how the hell am I going to see reality 20% of the day? Because you start to realize Donald Hoffman is right. I am just in one beer bottle humping beetle sliver of reality, and I just don't see FE and everything else, right? So only objectivity, scientific method, what your fucking grandpa tells you, what Arnold Schwarzenegger tells you, all that boring shit that you already have an immunity to. Yeah, I already know that. It's all that shit is actually what gets you through. It's not work on your demon function, double activated Jungian, blah, blah, blah. No. Set a goal, watch yourself fuck it up, and then you're going to see that objectivity is going to give you the traction. Objectivity is going to hold you accountable. As you set a goal 3 months from now, you have an accountability partner, and then step 1 is you watch yourself fuck it up, and you're like, okay. And then you start to go to work from there. All stuff you already know. It's just like fitness. You know how to get in shape. And if you don't know how to get in shape, what you do, you just turn on TikTok, watch a few workouts, now you know. Are you going to do it? No. So that's a whole other issue. So it's the subjectivity. So Kanye is just a really good example of somebody who is all in on subjectivity, no accountability, has been able to wiggle out of everybody else's accountability because he's now on top because he is so fucking talented. And now it's just you're watching somebody with mush brain go fucking nuts.
What do you advise them to do? Do everything that you feel, even if you are told that it's the wrong thing. No, but not anything violent.
So do what you feel, say what you feel. Like, trust your heart.
Yeah, trust your gut. Trust your instincts, because that instinct is who God made you to be. Not, what lines up with your like frat brothers, or what lines up with what your dad wanted, or what lines up with your classmates, or, it's just God has something inside of you. And when you walk down the street, you're thinking about it, and then you just see it in the window. And you go down another street, you see the same thing, or you're thinking about a number and that number pops up, or you see it on a license plate. And that's just, something is trying to say, be the maximum. Yay.
Got a lot of wisdom there. So let's break that down. First with the observers, with the license plate thing, right? So God talks you through the license plate and stuff like that. So it's like, with the observers, they're fascinated by the sensory and the meaning. So things like coincidences, and I was thinking of the number 7, and I saw the number 7, that gets the observers so fucking hard because the sensory and the meaning all of a sudden align, and you got a spooky fucking moment, and then blame it on God, right? So what I see a lot is that if you go that route, like God is a great way when people are looking for an excuse of basically, I want to be a selfish ass. I want to have no accountability. I want to do whatever I feel like, whatever my double masculine introverted world wants to do. I now, you know what? You can't stop me because God is on my side. You're like, well, shit. I was going to try and have some accountability, maybe write a checklist, maybe write a contract. Uh-oh, there's that word. Write a contract? Can you do what you said you were going to do 3 months from now? Well, God told me that I don't have to show up to work today. God told me you're an asshole. I don't have to listen to you anymore. And you're like, how the fuck do I argue with this?
Whatever the net worth is, 11 billion. I'm going to stop putting the whole black thing on my worth. Like, let's just see where I am on the scale of life, because that's a cop out for me to say richest black guy of all time, because that's feeding into the same, trauma economy that Black Lives Matter feeds into. That's why I love and respect engineers. That's the only thing that we really need to teach in school is engineering. We don't need to teach history. We don't need to teach anything that is subjective. It needs to only be engineering taught in school, and everything else needs to be recessed. Nothing at all. Any forced subjective information is just to weaken and indoctrinate our species, and that's what schools do now.
That's a pretty big statement. So it's like, notice, like, can you define any of that? Can you prove any of that? This, again, the N and the S just absolutely fucked up. Anything that's subjective, which I love, like, massively subjective people will start, like, hijacking the words. Notice that, right? So anything that is not his way is subjective, of course, right? So it's like, there's no proof of this. There's, like, the specifics. Like, which school you want to talk about? Can we go down to Cody's school right here? Because he's actually in a pretty good school. We've had a whole lineup of pretty shitty schools that he's gone to. He's actually in a really good school. A few schools earlier, it was also a really good school. So there's good schools, there's bad schools. What are we talking about exactly? Are we talking about the payment for the teachers? Are we talking about the curriculum? Because they actually are bringing in STEM and science and engineering, and they're as much as they can with the very limited funding they have from the fucking government. They are getting a little better. So we're talking about that? Like, what are we talking about specifically? Can we measure that? Can we address it? Because I know the truth is a lot of what he's saying is actually true. Now, where, to what degree, to what amount, in what states, where is it better, worse? Where can we like define that? I think you're onto something. You're right. Can we measure it and then every year get it 1% better? No. You don't play the 1% better game. You don't play the measurement game. You don't play the not throw it all in one big fucking broad brush game. You play the it's all or nothing. Remember the panic state? So when your mind is in a state of trauma or fixed mindset or just stuck in that fight or flight, everything is you just gotta listen to me. Everything is I got one problem and one solution. It's as simple as this. Everybody turns into masculine NI when they're in a constant state of panic or a constant fight or flight state. And Kanye, if you ever watch the guy, he's just in a constant paranoid fight or flight state. So I don't know about you, but it's like the more I see that in other people, Kanye being one of the greatest examples I've ever seen, it's like the more I want to go like, okay, I'm doing that all over the place in my own life. When you have the growth mindset, the tools that you're looking at is this boring shit. Write it down, objectivity, work out, be accountable, test it. Okay, great hypothesis you got about school there, Kanye. Do you want to like not just wander out of the studio and go fucking yell at somebody on a fucking taxi cab somewhere? Or do you want to like maybe get to work on that? If what you're saying is the end of the world, why'd you just wander off and go cause a problem somewhere else? Why aren't you dealing with it? Oh, because that would be slow, that would be boring, that would take Chip away, that would take me to calm down and be responsible and deal with my emotions. So never mind, I'll just yell it on a podcast. But if you do go down that road, you become this. You're like, look, great point. You're a fucking genius. You're so great. You're actually just one of a bunch of other geniuses. We all have one view of a function or a puzzle piece. It's not all or nothing. You can't have Sally here be like, hey, if you just all listen to me, like, hey, Sally, shut up. You got your point of view. We'll factor it in. It's great. There's a lot of other moving parts here, right? Slow, boring, but you do get to work together because Kanye is going down the road of this. Like, this is Kanye's life. So he's got all the answers from God, all of this, the clear things what to do. You just got to blame it on the Jews. You just got to fuck the school system over. You just got to teach this. You just got to do, and you just live this fucking life right here with, what is this, gum in your hair. Last clip on the way out. What's interesting is Lex Fridman playing the role of the adult. Lex Fridman being one of the most scientific, objective people you're going to find on the fucking internet, right? That's why he's got fucking drain all over his face. Plus he's fucking play last. He's like, all right, let's hear your bullshit. Let's walk it through. I'll listen to your point of view. So Lex is being the adult, knowing Kanye's the sucker, Kanye's the fucking idiot that comes in, talks a bunch of crazy shit, and gets in trouble for it, and Lex is going above and beyond to try and be the grown-up, be very irresponsible. You can see Lex going, you're fucking nuts, you're an idiot. But Lex is trying to have a conversation. Lex is trying to set up a conversation with Vladimir Putin, right? So I actually wanted to, Lewis Howes, acknowledge Lex as Kanye is acknowledging Lex. So I want to acknowledge Kanye for acknowledging Lex for a very big, powerful, positive thing. We have somebody like Lex Fridman going, look, you're fucking nuts, I'm fucking nuts. Let's just sit down and calmly talk about it and just bring some data points to the table and not freak out about it.
There's a lot of kids that are with me. They see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And they had to sit through all of the muck of all the previous interviews to get to this. Every interview has been just an emotional, it's just like been an argument up to this point. This is the first of, this is the next frontier of where our species is going to head. It starts here. It starts with you, Lex. You know, be the maximum you. And God won't give you anything that you can't handle. Everything is a yes. I think they say be like water. I know Bruce Lee said that.
Got a lot of wisdom there.